Hi everybody, you're listening to the Khandaan podcast by the You Podcast team, a bi-weekly podcast revisiting the movies of Amir Khan, Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Every show we pick a random year from 3 decades of collectively 300 films the Khans have done and let our listeners vote which movie we should talk about. So it's entirely up to you.
Pick a team, make a vote, take us down nostalgia lane, punish us, or make us reassess a movie we dismissed.
We love the Khans, most of us, sometimes. And we would love for you all to be part of our Khandaan, because when it comes to the Khans in Bollywood, nothing else really matters.
Yeah, no, let's get going, no?
It's going to be a long episode.
ये भी कर लेते हैं as long as you're here.
We've got a ton of things to discuss anyway, right?
Yeah.
I think, what shall we do? Shall we do trailers first? I think people are... I think this way people can tune in, listen to the COOLIE No.1 trailer review and then just shut off because they won't agree with anything else we say. At least with what I will say.
Yeah.
So this episode we're going to be reviewing some of the trailers that dropped. We're going to be doing the stuff we've been watching this week and the past 2 weeks. And then we're also going to be reading some emails and messages that we got. And then next episode is going to be our full review of GHULAM, the Vikram Bhatt classic from 98. So let's get started on COOLIE No.1, right? That's the big first trailer that dropped yesterday with much fanfare.
मैं ये चाहता था कि मेरी बेटी को हिंदुस्तान का सबसे रिच हस्बैंड मिले। उसने उसे हिंदुस्तान का रिच हस्बैंड दिया है। इसके पास एशिया का सबसे बड़ा पोर्ट, बुर्ज खलीफा इसका है, और ये भी हो सकता है कि अमेरिका का व्हाइट हाउस भी खरीद ले।
तुमको मालूम किससे बात करता है? सिंगापुर का राजा महेंद्र प्रताप का बेटा कुंवर राज प्रताप सिंह।
And it's been an interesting thing on Twitter about how much hate this... No, not even the trailer, but just the idea of remaking COOLIE No.1 gets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Amrita, what did you think of the trailer? Let's start with you.
So there was like 2 ways that this could go, right? Like one, they could have just reinvented the entire thing and then made it like a Varun Dhawan movie. Or they could have just leaned in really hard to the Govinda angle. And they've chosen to go with the second one, to the point where Varun is basically like he's doing an impersonation of Govinda, which I'll be frank, like that made me laugh. Like it creeped me out, but it also made me laugh. Just the faces that he's pulling, the way he's talking, like it's so blatant that even people who don't speak Hindi is like, wait, is he doing a Govinda impersonation? And I've been like having these conversations with people where everybody's like, what is he doing? And I'm like, he's lost his damn marbles is what he's doing. But it's really funny to me. Like for me, like it's not even the movie or anything. All I could think about when I was watching this trailer is that Govinda must be hopping mad right now.
Yeah.
He must be watching that trailer on repeat and like shoving pins into like David Dhawan's voodoo dolls. Like he must be so angry right now because not only is David Dhawan like remaking it with like Govinda Light, his own son, but also his son is just ripping off everything that Govinda did over the years. And it is just blatant. Like, and those two, like, you know, Govinda, like, has, like, solid khunnas against David Dhawan. And he's being very open about it, you know? Like, it's not even like a silent grudge that's buried deep in his heart. He, like, goes out in public and says that David Dhawan is a thief and a liar and a cheat. So this is just, this is, like, really funny to me, you guys.
I saw somebody tweet like, "Oh, I'm just hoping there might be a Govinda cameo." I was like, "There's no way in heaven and hell that Govinda is going to be doing a cameo in this movie. There's no way." It's not Salman, right? Like where he showed up in Judwa 2 and at the end they're doing a little dance. There's no way Govinda has that level of graciousness. No. There's no way.
I just hope there is a Lolo cameo though. Because that will make my day. That will make my day.
Yeah. She just comes in for one of the dance move of Husn-e Suhana or something like that. That would be so cool. Remember when in Husn-e Suhana there was the other girl and then she switched to Charisma? Yeah. How cool would it be if they do that with Sara Ali Khan for a split second it becomes Charisma and then splits back to that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Can I also say that I really enjoyed the songs though? Like I know I'm supposed to hate it because the originals are amazing and blah blah blah, but I really like the chemistry between Sara and Varun in the songs. I think that they both have that, that massy feel that and it's just really fun to watch. Like I just want to see the songs. Like I don't really care about the movie, but I want to see the songs. Like, I want to see all the songs.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect jodi because last time we had this with Judwa 2 and you know that Taapsee feels she's above these movies and Jacqueline Fernandez has not seen these movies. So Sara Ali Khan is in there. She grew up. There's this little move and her eyes are looking up like she's Govinda and she's copying Govinda. I don't know why she's not copying Lolo. She's going for a Govinda impression too, which seems to be the brief of this entire movie.
Yeah.
Which I thought was amazing. Everybody wants to do Govinda, right? So, Sujoy, what did you think? I think you might be the biggest Govinda fan out of all of us.
Well, I did grow up on all these movies, right, in the 90s, and I am big fan of Coolie No.1 and Hero No.1 and all the Govinda movies that are not even David Dhawan movies. And I was quite skeptical of how this would turn out, and I still have my, cautiously optimistic face on, and I can see where the pitch is coming from because Varun is like turning it up to 11. It kind of reminded me of this Filmfare performance that Varun did a couple of years ago as a tribute to Chichi Bhaiya, and he danced to all the Govinda songs in the Govinda attires, the Raja Babu Kurta and all, and the Coolie No.1, all the songs, and he danced to it. And so it kind of reminds me what exactly does it really achieve other than just tickling our nostalgic brains to make a movie like this. It's obviously, making money out of nostalgia kind of a thing because they're not exactly, going into creative mode, to make stuff like these and replacing Javed Jaffrey for Sadashiv Amrapurkar. That could be hilarious because, Javed Jaffrey is amazing. But again, bringing Rajpal Yadav, I don't know, and Johnny Lever, we'll see. Again, our sort of theater going experience has changed. This movie is coming straight onto OTT. So, because a movie like this is best experienced in the cinema theater with a collective group of people who are laughing at the silly jokes, it becomes a sort of a solitary experience trying to laugh at jokes like ATM ka phone aaya hai, Ambani, Trump, Modi. I don't know where it will play out. I'm quite cautiously optimistic about it. Also, they kind of incorporated Varun aping Mithun for the Coolie character, and also brought back Varun copying or paying a nod to Shakti Kapoor in Raja Babu with that nurse character,
Yeah. I actually laughed at the nurse thing. I was like, I hate myself for laughing, but this is ingrained in my childhood. I can just remember.
Yeah.
Oh God. So you're asking the question, where will this comedy play out? It will play out in my living room because I don't care if I'm surrounded by 100 people or it's me alone. I laugh in the same way. This movie is made for me.
Just for Asim.
Just for me. Varun makes movies just for me. The only problem I had with the trailer is that it's too long. A 3-minute trailer. I actually, when it dropped, I watched, I think, a minute and then I shut it off because I was like, man, this is going to spoil all the jokes for me.
Yeah.
Like, I do not want to watch all the jokes in a trailer. But, like, the thing is about the Govinda impression, right? Like, if you've seen Main Tera Hero and Judwaan 2, this is what he does. Like, this is what he does, you know, like, as the meme goes, like, he does he does a Govinda impression with Salman Khan's six-pack, which is the perfect David Dhawan hero. Like, that's what David Dhawan wanted, and he couldn't get it then, and now he has it. So why not use it?
He wanted it so bad, he made one.
Yeah. So, and I would also like to answer the question about who will watch this movie, because somebody said, you know, only you will be watching it, Asim. So, I would like you to let you know that Judwaan 2 made 230 crores worldwide. 230 crores. Everybody, like, complains about remakes and about songs or movies, but these make bank. Every time they make bank. So, there's no other reason why the original Coolie No. 1 was made. It was never made for some artistic grandeur, you know, some grand idea about this, we are making cinema. They wanted to make money then, and hopefully they'll make money now. And if they can get all of that money from Amazon, who's not paying their taxes, good on them. You know, like, I'm totally fine with them ripping off Amazon. I don't care.
Like, my wish list is I was watching this movie with you, because that will be more enjoyable than me just watching by myself, obviously. And Judwaan 2 made 200 plus crores, and Coolie No. 1 just had to settle for an OTT only release because of how things are right now. And obviously they must be very, very upset with it, because they only get, what I heard from somewhere, I don't have the citations with me, but I think Amazon paid them 65 crores for the streaming, which is still very, very big, but obviously it's not 200 plus crores.
Wow, that's actually, that's not that much, but I guess it covers the budget maybe. And I mean, they're not, I imagine Amazon then also takes over marketing and PR, right? Because they have to then market it, which doubles the cost of a movie, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, Varun is ghar ka banda anyway, so what does he get paid, you know? Like, I don't know. So, it's a new kind of setup, and I think, you know, we'll have Wonder Woman on one side, and we'll have, you know, Coolie No. 1 on the other side. So we'll be good this Christmas, you know. They took care of us in a way.
It's a warm hug after the shitstorm that 2020 has been, you know.
No, but it is continuing though. Like, the, you know, all the SSRians that had gone away for a bit, they've all come back to attack this movie because Sara's in it. And they actually...
Diwali ke break ke baad wapas aa gaye.
They disabled the like and dislike button on the YouTube trailer. Yeah. Because I guess, you know, these are not, like I've said before, like, these are not the geniuses of the Western world who are, like, coordinating these things. So there was, like, a whole bunch of people on Twitter who were like, wait until the trailer drops, man. I'm going to go and, like, hit that dislike button so hard, man. So they were just like, okay, fine, we'll just take it off. Now what do you do? So they have, like, a whole... Why
do they not like Sara Ali Khan?
I don't know, because I haven't been following the conspiracy theorists, but it's something about how she did, like, she apparently was the one who told everyone that Sushant was on drugs or something. So apparently now that is a problem.
Okay.
What I did not know until today was Coolie No. 1, the 1995 film by David Dhawan, is also a remake of a Telugu film called Coolie No. 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This tweet I read was kind of what capsules a lot of the comments. I'm sorry about a time all 90s cinephiles got together and filed a petition in IMPAA to make sure Govinda Films ka remake does not happen. Let us live with our happy memories. And dear producers, if you really want to have to remake, look at South and Korea. which, see, like, I was trying to wrap my head around that tweet. And I was like, wait, so you should remake South Indian movies and Korean movies? Or are... Yeah, that's what he's saying, right? Saying. But why is that a good idea? Like,
or are they saying, look at South and Korea, they don't remake movies. We should emulate them.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
No, but I will say that I kind of understand where all these people who are upset about Govinda remakes are coming from, because like we all know that these movies were made without a script, right? Like it's not like none of us is sitting here thinking that Govinda got like a bound script and was like, Hanji, yahan pe 1 joke, 2 joke, 3 joke, next page. Like it's not going to be like that. So a lot of this stuff was like off the cuff. A lot of it was just Govinda and his sense of humor and him riffing off Shakti Kapoor and all those people. So I get what they're trying to say. Like it's lightning in a bottle, and if you try and remake it, it's going to probably suck. But also, like, what? It's not my money. So if they want to spend Amazon ka money on remaking stuff, they can go right ahead. I don't care.
But also, who's forcing anybody to watch anything? If you really love, if it's making you mad, just go to Jhakaaz Movies and watch Coolie No.1 on YouTube, right? Like, there's no reason. Like, like, I've never understood this argument about, let's not... Like, when Aankh Mare came out, I ended up watching the old Aankh Mare more than the new version, And I think I even quoted the numbers of YouTube on our podcast when we were talking about it. And the new version had like 100 times more views than the old version, right? So it's up to you. If you don't like it, just don't watch it. Like, who's forcing you, right? I don't understand this. Why? Like, it's like... We're all for freedom of expression, but not the freedom of remaking. Like, what is this about?
Yeah.
It was interesting, but I think we're going to be hearing a lot of these thoughts. So I just wanted to kind of, I'm a huge Varun fanboy. I love what he does, especially this. I don't like as much, Badlapur and Kalank and those kind of movies. What's that other one where he was swatting flies and everybody died at the end? The girl died. What was that one? October. Yeah, that's not my jam. This is my jam. I like this.
But coming to that again, like I am quite concerned because obviously this movie is not written by Kader Khan, and Kader Khan was on the set of the previous one, and he was also playing the father character, and that brings a whole another level of masala to the movie. And this has some guy called Farhad Samji who's written the dialogues, and from his sort of filmography, he's done movies like Houseful 4 and Baghi 3 and all of that, and also Street Dancer 3D, the Remo D'Souza masterpiece.
I think this kind of comedy really depends on the delivery and kind of the star power of the main actors, right?
Yeah.
And there's that scene where they're like, I don't know who it is Paresh Rawal or something. He says like, "Ye hamare Kunwar Saab hai," and the way Varun puts his leg on that thing and he like puts his hips forward is just hilarious to me. Like he there's no funnier guy with a six-pack in Bollywood as there is Varun. There's nobody.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about it, like, there's no fun actors anymore as much. Like Ranveer is fun off-screen, but all of his movies are quite, depressing when you watch them. They're not fun necessarily, right? Who else is there? Ranveer is too kind of highbrow. And by the way, I think I like Varun's impression of Mithun better than Rajkumar Rao's in Ludo, by the way. Just
For
to
sure.
kind of, yeah. So, yeah. I was just kind of thinking about it, that I miss actors that can have fun on screen, and at least Varun is delivering on that, But again, I'm biased here. Like, I will hear no bad of this, of Varun Dhawan and this movie. So it's very hard to discuss this with me, I feel.
You're just banging on against the wall,
Yeah. I don't care.
And it's all downhill from here. After Coolie No.1, there's the other trailers that came out.
Durgamati Haveli? वहां जो गया समझो चला गया. The power of people is always stronger than the people in power.
So the second one was Durgamati.
Durgavati.
How do you? Durgavati. Yeah. Amrita, have you seen the original? I think you recommended it to us ages ago.
I still haven't seen it now.
Right. It's on Prime, right?
Yeah.
What's the original called?
Bhagamati.
Okay.
So the original has Anushka Shetty, who is amazing. And I'll literally watch her in anything. And Jairam, who's playing like the role that Arshad Wasi is playing here. And I don't know, like the vibe in this one is slightly different as I would expect from like, you know, like a Hindi film. It won't be the exact same vibe. I'm interested to see if Bhumi can I think Bhumi has that, you know, like she has a streak of bitchiness in her that is very interesting when it comes out. So maybe she can do it. But the original was like super interesting, and I don't know if they're going to be faithful to it and like keep all the, you know, the twists and turns and stuff, or if they're going to make some changes. I hope not, because I think like not enough people saw the original.
So I watched the trailer for Durgamati and also Bhagamati, and both trailers are shot by shot exact. Even the trailer.
I think it's made by the same guy who made Bhagamati.
Written and directed by the same guy called Ashok, I think. G. Ashok. But I totally agree with you, Amrita, on that, because I've not watched many Anushka Shetty movies, but the few I've seen of her, like this is totally her zone, and Bhumi has really big shoes to fill in. Like the amount of screen presence that Anushka Shetty demands, the last shot in the trailer where she sits on the throne, in Bhagamati's trailer, and she's just like, you know, sort of what you call a man-spreading sort of move, you know, and she's like commanding your attention. When I see Bhumi do that, it just looks like cosplay, rather than, you know, a bona fide screen presence that you would expect from a movie like this. But it'd be interesting to see.
But also Anushka has that physicality, you see.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Bhumi,
And the eyes.
I was gonna say.
Like, boom. Both of you are just like, oh, yeah. No, like, Bhumi has a lot of talent, but there's like, I mean, some roles just demand a certain kind of physicality, and Anushka's just tall, and she's like statuesque, and she really fills up the screen, and that's a little hard for Bhumi, I think.
Yeah, Bhumi looks light, like, you know, like very like lightweight, and I like also just, I don't know, it's also produced by Akshay Kumar, this movie, right? And like this, just after Lakshmi Bomb, it seems like Lakshmi Bomb's Atma came into Bhumi Pednekar. Like that's what it sounds like, looked like to me. And I was happy to see Arshad Wasi, but also I'm not getting like a sense of what this movie is supposed to be. Like it reminds me a lot of Bhool Bhulaiya to a certain degree, and when I look at the poster and stuff for the original, it looked like, I don't know, she looked like more of a Indiana Jones kind of character, like she's the one leading the charge or the investigation. I've not seen the movie, but whereas here it looks very like Lakshmi Bomb-ish and Bhool Bhulaiya-ish, but maybe I don't know. And also like the voice modulation she does when she becomes the ghost didn't work for me. It really kind of pulled me out, and I don't know, it's not, the special effects don't look great, the creepy factor is not there. I don't know.
So the voice modulation must have been done by Tanishq Bagchi, that's why. And no joke, he is the music director.
Oh god.
I also, like, I'm happy to see Arshad Wasi back on screen, but I have to say, like, Jairam brings this ambiguity to the role that Arshad Wasi really doesn't. Like, even, like, I didn't know this was a remake of Bhagamati. I didn't know what it was. And then I saw the very first scene where they show Arshad Wasi making the speech, and I immediately knew what it was. And I knew, like, even before I figured out that this was a remake of Bhagamathi, I knew exactly, like, I had a read on his character in a way that I didn't on Jairam in the original.
Right.
So, yeah. So I'm a little bit skeptical.
But is the original one good, though? Is it like a good movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's coming out December 11th, so it's going to be before COOLIE No.1. So, I mean, where are we going? We're going to end up watching it anyway, right?
I'll probably watch Bhagamathi before. I think, I'd like to experience the story of Bhagamathi before Durgamati.
That's an interesting question because I wonder, man. I think when it's that close and you haven't seen the original, I think you should go with the remake first. Because there's no way the remake is going to be better than the original, right? So why screw up that experience? I don't know. Like,
but if you think that so strongly that the remake would, ruin the experience, then why not stick with the original when you get to watch Anushka Shetty not totally and not at all like diluted by the experience that you've had with Bhumi?
I don't know, but I have this with books too. When a book comes out and it's a movie, I watch the movie first and then I go back to the book. I wouldn't try to fit in reading the book before because I'm not a speed reader like Amrita is, but it takes me longer. But, so I tend to, watch the movie and then go back to the book, and then it's kind of a good experience on both ends. Whereas if I would watch the original first, then I'm just going to end up getting disappointed with like a watered down version afterwards. I don't know. You've seen both. Are you still interested? Do you think Bhumi will bring anything, Amrita, to the role, or you're good with what you saw already?
I might check it out, but it's not really high on my list. I know we're going to be talking about the new Surya movie in a little bit. I think I'd rather watch that before I make any decisions about Durgamati.
Yeah. Okay. One more trailer came out. INDOO KI JAWAANI.
Hello जी, myself Indira Gupta. बिहार से इंदू. प्यार की अगर बात करें तो आजकल मैं सिंगल हूँ, पर मेरा ना बड़ा मन हो रहा है कि मैं भी कोई अच्छा सा लड़का देख के उसे डेट करूँ. लेकिन बाय गॉड आजकल अच्छे लड़के मिलते कहाँ हैं?
I don't know if you have much to say about that one.
What is that?
So
is it a rom-com?
So it's like
what is it supposed to be, Asim? You tell me.
Let me just read out what it is supposed to be from IMDb, right? Maybe that'll be a good way. It's a coming-of-age story of a girl who experiences life through misadventures of dating apps. That's what it is.
I just want anyone who hasn't watched that trailer to know that tagline tells you nothing about the insanity that I witnessed in that trailer. Like, the trailer is like Timbuktu compared to like what this logline is. Like, what the hell?
Can I also just say, like, should I be offended that they didn't cast a Pakistani actor to play a Pakistani? Where is the representation when we need it this way? It's all about we didn't get a blind person for this and an autistic person for that. Where's my Pakistani? Oh, sab nikal diye, ab phas gaye na.
Where is the Sarfaraz? Where is the Sarfaraz Dhokedar when you want it? You know?
They brought in a damn Aditya to play a Pakistani? What is this?
So for those of you who don't know, Kiara Advani is playing the lead, INDOO, and she is on Tinder because nothing is working out for her relationship-wise. And then
when you look like Kiara, you cannot find a date, right? You need these dating apps. That's how life works, right?
So then she sets up. This is whoever wrote this movie has literally never been on Tinder or any other dating app, because she meets somebody online and then she's like, okay, let's meet. And her idea of a place to meet is come to my house. Like, what? Pehle coffee to pee le behan. Like, see if he actually like matches his shots. Like, what if he's a psycho? And of course, he's not a psycho, but he is a Pakistani. And he shows up and I think it's like a wrong address kind of a thing. And she doesn't know that. And she's trying to seduce him and he's like super awkward about it. And then she discovers he's Pakistani. So obviously she's like, very well-adjusted human being. So she's like, Atangwadi! And then he's like, what? What do you mean? And then it turns out...
She's a good Indian girl, right? That's what you guys should be thinking when you see a Pakistani walking around. It's like, Atangwadi!
No, but like, what does the trailer say in the end? Like, he is an Atangwadi, right? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I think that's what it's basically like. You remember that show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland where he thinks somebody's a terrorist, nobody believes him, then he tortures them and then they turn out to be a terrorist. So this is what INDOO Ki Jawani is doing. Basically, he looks like a terrorist, nobody's gonna believe it, then they're gonna torture the audience and then it's gonna end up that he's a terrorist.
I think it gave me like eye cancer. I was just like, no, I don't need this.
I would like to also tell you that this movie already has 2 songs out. One is Hasina Pagal Diwani, which is a remake of something. And then also Hile Toot Gayi, which I saw yesterday. Both those songs together have already 80 million views on YouTube. 80 million views. And I'll say Hile Toot Gayi came out 2 days ago. So, paise to ban gaye na? Like, they got their money back already just through YouTube views.
What I do know about is that Hasina Pagal Diwani is a remix of Sawan Mein Lag Gayi Aag by Mika Singh back in the 90s. And it also was remixed in Guinea with Sunny as well. So, there are 2 versions of the remix. And they are, like, Mika has sung both of them. There is no... sort of loyalty towards remixes either. Ek hi saal mein do remix.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying you shouldn't criticize Varun Dhawan. Like when this is happening in the industry, right? This is the world we live in. But what did you think of the trailer though?
I'm not going to watch this movie. I'm like, even on gunpoint. That's what I thought.
Asim, are you going to watch this movie?
Well, by the way, I've never seen a Kiara Advani movie. I've never, like, I've seen Kabir Singh, but, like, she was not really in it.
How about, didn't you watch Lust Stories?
I didn't.
Okay.
I watched, I watched until the Bhumi Pednekar one, and then I stopped, because I thought nothing is going to be better than this one. So, I think I'm right in that.
Kalank?
Yeah, Kalank I've not seen, no. Again, I watched like 20 minutes and then I figured out what they were trying to reveal, that Madhuri was Varun's mom, and then I was like, I get it. And I need to maybe revisit Kalank. Maybe our listeners can let me know. Should I finish my viewing of Kalank or not? Drop us a line at youpodcasting@gmail.com. No, I'm not going to be watching this. I've not watched any of her movies, I think. Yeah, I'm going through her filmography. I've seen more of her on Instagram than I've seen her in movies.
And also, like, the trailer is trying to sell the idea of a funny Malika Dua, and you just watch her YouTube channels. That's going to be a far better experience than watching this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I have seen one. I've seen the one with Ram Charan, Vinaya Vidya Rama. She was in that. That I saw. Imagine that. Of all of her movies, I've seen her in the Telugu movie.
Wow, awesome. You continue to surprise me.
After 3 years of podcasting together, I still do that.
Yeah.
I won't be watching this. I mean, like, honestly, I'm offended. I'm offended of this trailer. I think it's like, yeah, I don't get offended that much. I think this is like a toxic messaging going on. Even if you put it in as much comedy as you want, it's stupid to me. And none of, like, this looks like a T-series money-making movie, and they're making their money anyway, so I don't think they need me for this. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on INDOO Ki Jawani, unfortunately. Shall we move on to... Let's read some messages, no? Shall we do that?
Yeah.
Amrita, you had one that you received on
Yeah, so
Instagram,
Rajat
I think, right?
sent us a couple of messages on Insta. By the way, Khandaan is now on Insta for those of you who don't know. So if you want to like follow us, that would be good. Is it just called Khandaan or is it Khandaan Podcast?
Khandaan Podcast.
Yeah, it's called Khandaan Podcast. So you should.
I tried getting Khandaan, but it wasn't available. Even though the Instagram account doesn't exist, they didn't allow me the username. Bitches.
Oh, okay. If anybody has it, sell it to us for like 30 cents. we can't afford more than this unless we start, hawking shit to you guys in the show, which obviously you're not gonna buy. But like 30 cent tak chalega.
Presented to you by Kukureja Pressure Cooker.
So Rajat has feedback on 2 of our episodes. So the first one is after he
Sujoy ko ye batana. Sujoy ko ye batana.
Actually, he had feedback after 3 episodes. So the first one he sent was like after he listened to the BV No.1 podcast, in which he says, I think David Dhawan has either been unfaithful to his wife for decades or in the very least has fantasized about it. I just want to say there's a legal disclaimer that this is not us that is saying it. This is Rajat. So
yeah, because I'm hoping to interview Varun, by the way,
So Rajat is saying,
I should ask him that actually. Fuck it.
Rajat says on Instagram that your dad is a cheater. Is that true? Yeah, so he says most of his movies, David Dhawan's movies, deal with a guy juggling 2 women. What's funny is that most of his movies are remakes of South Indian movies, so clearly the dude is drawn to such stories. Another recurring theme in his work is double roles. There too, the same guy is romancing 2 women. Join the dots. In Main Tera Hero and Judwa 2, his own son romances 2 ladies. I don't have to tell you how messed up that thought is. And it continues with Coolie No.1 also.
Yeah.
In which the 2 women are actually sisters. So that's just another little thing. The second one that he sent was after he listened to the Bazigar episode with
shall we like discuss this first and then go to the next one?
Yeah,
or you want to read the both ones?
We can discuss this one first and then we can go to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously our planning, we just talked about David Dhawan movies and we didn't read out this message. We should have done that then, but returning to it again. I don't know, man. I don't know if he actually did it or I think it's just like a projection of middle class male fantasy, more than anything. Like, there's like a lot of men that want to be in a threesome with 2 women. Like that's like a thing for a lot of men. Which I'd never understood. I feel like, if you're a threesome with 2 women, the man is probably the least interesting part of that threesome. Right?
It just reminds me of Ross trying to get into a threesome and then realizing his wife is a lesbian.
Yeah, which shows that Friends is a documentary. It's not a comedy show. That's probably what really would happen. But I don't know. I don't know if it it's an interesting thought, but it's definitely a theme that's been ever present in so many of his movies. I mean, we didn't even mention Gharwali Baharwali, right? Where he's just running from one one married house to another married house, right? That's what the role is, right?
Yeah.
And then there was Sajan Chale Sasural as well.
Maybe it's more about Govinda than David Dhawan. Like when you think about
Sabke sab chor hai.
Because there were a lot of these rumors, right? About Govinda and having a thing with Rani. Man, wow, Rani. Like, wow. Like, how low level can Rani go? Like, she had a thing with Govinda. I don't understand this.
I mean, she did a movie with Govinda in 8 different roles, so she had to fall in love with at least one of them, right?
Which movie is that?
Had kar diya aapne.
She has 8 roles.
No, he has 8 roles. He even comes out.
Wow.
He even comes out of the TV as a guy with a Chinese beard.
Wow, I've not even heard of
it. It's Govinda's Norbit. Remember Norbit?
Yeah. Wasn't there also like a Sanjeev Kapoor?
Kumar. Sanjeev Kumar. Naya din nahi raat.
Yeah. Wasn't that like also like a big thing where he showed up in 12 different costumes?
12 different
Kamal
roles,
Hassan also had it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's an interesting thought, for sure. Amrita, did you have anything to add on that?
No, but I have another one that he sent after listening to the Bazigar episode.
Go for it.
He says, so it's still Rajat, by the way. And he says, I'm a big fan of the big three thrillers of the 90s, Bazigar, Khiladi, and Gupt. I know that there are parts of the three movies that haven't aged well, but they are products of the times that they were made in, so I can forgive some of the stuff. That being said, I think the lens of 2020 might point out some problematic stuff in these movies. I would like to know what the three of you think. Asim especially, since he loves Akshay. The song Khud Ko Kya Samajhti Hai is basically a less problematic version of Dam Dama Dam from Dil. At least Ayesha Julka gets a chance to give him a taste of his own medicine. Back in the day, Abbas Mustan could make any situation nail-biting. I just love the contact lens scene from Bazigar. The sequence in Khiladi where Deepak Tijori is being chased by guns while Akshay Kumar and Shakti Kapoor are looking for him is full of tension. The library scene is also good, but what do you think?
Yeah. Sujoy, you want to go first, maybe?
I'd just like to point, I think when you compare Dil's Dam Damadam and Khud Ko Kya Samajhti, I think it would be Dil's Khambe Jaisi Khadi Hai, which would be the one to compare with Khud Ko Kya Samajhti Hai, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, what was the question? Like, how has it aged and do we still like it?
Yeah, I guess.
I just see when I go back to watching these movies, I just go back into that frame of mind. I consider myself transported into that era and try not to judge it. But again, it comes with the territorial sort of familiarity with these movies, right? If I were to, I don't know, sometimes it irks. Like movies like Dil definitely age well. Movies like I haven't seen Khiladi in a long time, and I do remember it was still very jarring to watch Akshay play the woman and all, and Deepak Tijori trying to flirt with women and all that. I don't know. It depends on the movie, I guess. How much I liked it then versus now, and how much I still hated it then versus now.
Yeah, it's funny because I was considering watching Khiladi like 2 or 3 days ago. I saw it added on one of the streaming platforms. I was just kind of going through, and I don't know if you guys have this, but I feel like there's like a lull in new content. I feel there's like nothing left to watch, or I've maybe watched everything. So I'm just kind of going back and trying to find stuff that I've already watched, or like a comfort watch. Mm-hmm. And Khiladi was one of those. I was like, yeah, maybe I should watch it, but I didn't. I just didn't have time then. So I actually want to revisit Khiladi because I only remember the first action scene where Akshay Kumar is taking on those guys in the college canteen, which is an amazing action scene from that era. I remember like when Saugandh and Khiladi came out, and funny enough, I don't know why, but I saw Saugandh first, and I was bowled over by Akshay Kumar, like the way his physicality was, and like at that time, a lot of heroes came into Bollywood with a black belt. Like Salman had a black belt, Ajay Devgan has a black belt, Akshay had, but so they all had the narrative of this guy has a black belt. But what Akshay could show on screen was like leagues ahead of anybody else, and he was so motivated. He was like giving it his all. Like when we make that joke, Shahrukh is just like being so, is not taking care of his body, right? Where he's just jumping everywhere off
burning off himself
Akshay
and like jumping on his knees.
Yeah, and he did it pointlessly, where Akshay would do it like with like a purpose, right? In those action scenes, he's like kicking through chairs, he's jumping through tables. It is amazing to look like, and I'm a huge action fan anyway. So, and those movies were not the Yash Chopra high level budget movies. They were kind of like B grade, right?
Yeah, I think it was the equivalent of the Hong Kong action movies or the Van Dammes of the West, That was what was Akshay bringing to the table, but then, and sort of filling that void. And you could see it, like the precision that he had in his like roundhouse kicks. Nobody in Bollywood had done that before. Like we had watched fucking Rajendra Kumar trying to do action before.
Yeah, which I mean, we're going to be reviewing GHULAM later, and like there's a huge gap between what Akshay is doing and the type of Bollywood action we get to see, right? And he was just like amazing. And funny, I wouldn't necessarily be putting Gupt in that same category, because I do feel Gupt was a much more polished product. Like it has a higher budget value, and it came kind of like from that house that was already successful, where Bazigar and Khiladi, both of them were really Abbas Mustan trying something new and breaking into this. So they had that scrappy kind of filmmaking, where Gupt was a much more polished. But I get that, those were those thrillers from the 90s that were, we loved watching, and they had good songs, and they had like also just like such charismatic actors, right? Like taking away Deepak Tijori out of the equation because he was never a contender, but like Akshay Kumar and Shah Rukh Khan and even Bobby Deol and Kajal, more than Bobby Deol, these were stars. Like we don't have them anymore, right? Like that's more what I miss about that era of filmmaking than the film itself, because I agree with you, they have aged, but because we grew up with them and we watched them then, the nostalgia kind of brushes over the problematic stuff. Maybe sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. I think when we were reviewing Dil, we really had issues with a lot of the scenes in there, right? It didn't hold up for me, at least.
And with Mohra.
What about you?
And with Mohra.
Yeah, Mohra didn't hold up either. But that was, I guess, the drugs angle that was, and Ravina being so bad. Ravina is so bad. Amrita, what were your thoughts about those kind of like thrillers of the 90s?
No, I think, basically what you guys were saying. But also, I think there's like two modes in which you watch those movies now. One is with your head turned on, and one is with your head turned off. And as long as you're watching it with your head turned off, it's fine, because you're just tapping into nostalgia, and you're just like, now this will happen, now that will happen, and then, there'll be this song, and it's always like good fun. And then you watch
it's like playing bingo with these movies, right?
Yeah. You're just on the lookout for certain things that you remember and have left like such a deep impact in your memory. So you're just trying to reconnect with those feelings, basically, when you're rewatching these things. But if you're watching it, like when we watch these movies for reviews, for example, it's a very different kind of mindset, at least for myself, because I am watching it critically. I'm like thinking about, what does this say? What does it mean? How has it held up? What are we looking at? Like, how did this fit into this person's career at the time? Has he moved on since then? Like all these different things, and that's what I think makes us, I'm aware that we can sound overly critical to the people who grew up watching these movies, and we can sound not enough critical to the people who didn't grow up watching these movies and therefore have no nostalgic connection to them. And I think that's because we are in both boats at the same time, We're reviewing it, but we also have a remembered affection for it. Which is why you all love the Khandaan, let's be honest.
That's why you tune in every week with all the people that tune in. Let's move on
to Irfan's letter.
Yes. So, again, I need to apologize to Irfan, because he regularly sends us, and we really appreciate his emails. And I ended up reading the wrong one because he's written a few. And so this is the one I wanted to read out, or needed to read out, and I didn't. But let's go with this, right? Irfan is writing from Chicago. Let us know where you're writing from. It's always cool to hear where our listeners are from. Just wanted to say that the podcast is amazing and has been from the start. Thank you very much, Irfan. One question I had was, for a podcast, would you be able to talk about your favorite singers in Indian cinema along with your favorite type of music? Who is one singer you would like to see make a comeback? Somebody like Adnan Sami. And I was wondering if you do a review of Chal Mere Bhai or Sanam Bewafa. I mean, both Chal Mere Bhai and Sanam Bewafa have been on the poll a few times. I think Sanam Bewafa definitely has. I'm not sure about Chal Mere Bhai. The audience has just not voted for them. I think they've probably been in a batch where other movies were so much more favorites, and I think this is what happened with this week's poll too, right? Like GHULAM and Dil Tera Aashik, there's no competition. GHULAM was going to take it anyway, so I think that's what happened. But I'm sure we'll get to both of them. Sujoy, man, you're the musical guy. Who's your favorite singer in all of Indian cinema? And please don't say some old guy that I don't know about.
Mine is pretty bog standard, obvious choice. I think my favorite singers would be Kishore Kumar and Asha Bhosle. And obviously Kishore Kumar is no more, and so he cannot have a comeback. But Asha Bhosle, I think her golden years of singing, playback singing, is also gone. I think she's done enough. She's sung for, I think, Urmila to all the newer lot of the 90s, and I think that's her peak era, and it should be there. She's also sung for Aishwarya. So I think I want to have Anuradha Paudwal or Alka. We last heard of Alka Yagnik in, I think, Tamasha, and I really, really like that song, and I'd like to hear more of her. I am very, very glad that Udit Narayan made a comeback with the COOLIE No.1 song, which we got to listen just for a little bit in the trailer. But I would like to listen more of Udit Narayan today, to be honest, because he's got a very happy voice.
He does, yeah. Amrita?
So I like Bhule Bisre Geet. I'm sorry, Asim. So at any given moment, because I listen to music all the time, and at any given point in my, in heavy rotation, I'll have people like Mukesh and Rafi and Kishore Kumar and the Mangeshkar sisters and all of them. My all-time favorite singer would have to be Rafi, because that man's voice is like chocolate. There's nobody with that kind of a voice ever in Hindi cinema.
I was going to ask Sujoy too, how are you putting Kishore? I mean, this is one of those classic conversations, right? How are you putting Kishore over Rafi? What is your criteria there?
I grew up more listening to Kishore, I guess, because that was playing in my house. My dad is a bigger fan of Rafi, but my mom loves Kishore and my sister loves Kishore and I love Kishore. So my dad is singled out again.
So, I don't have any problems with Sujoy saying Kishore, because Kishore to me is the voice of at least two generations, right?
Yeah.
So Rafi is the 50s and 60s, and Kishore owned the 70s and 80s. And there are songs, literal songs, I talk about this all the time, there's a point where Kishore Kumar dies, and then there are these songs that come out right after he dies for a period of I would say 5 years or so, or even more, where you listen to the songs and you know that these were songs that were written for Kishore Kumar. And because he died, they had to be recorded by somebody else. And it is incredibly mediocre, whoever has replaced him, because the song demands, and especially the ones that are recorded with Lata Mangeshkar, because Kishore and Lata together were magic. And they would do these things with their voice. I mean, the things that Kishore Kumar could do with his voice, it's incredible. He was a vocal acrobat basically. So he could do these things, and then Lata could also do those things, and you would listen to these songs, and Lata and Asha would do these incredible, loop-de-loops and yodelings, and, just take it from, start it high and, drop it down low, and then just bring it back around. And then whoever is standing in for Kishore is, mumbling along as best as they can. And it's hilarious to me, because you can just hear the fall in quality immediately after he passed away. And like Sujoy said, we grew up listening to a lot of Kishore songs, especially if you grew up in the 80s. You listen to him all the time on the radio. And he was the voice of Amitabh Bachchan, to the point where when he fell out with Bachchan for a time in the 70s and he said he wouldn't sing for Bachchan anymore, Bachchan actually went and apologized and was like, please sing for me again, because, you're the voice that everybody associates with my films. So Kishore is the ultimate, obviously. But I honestly feel like Rafi's has a voice that has unmatched anywhere in Hindi cinema. And I love him. He's my happy place. Obviously both Rafi and Kishore have passed away. They can't come back. So I would say the person that I miss from contemporary Bollywood, and he's an asshole, and I really hate that I'm saying this, but he does have a great voice, is Sonu Nigam.
Oh, I thought you were going to go proper asshole zone, go with Abhijit or something like that. I got worried for him.
Abhijit can get in the bin and stay there. But I miss Sonu Nigam's voice. I think he could have done so much more, but the dude has stuff going on in his life, I guess. But yeah.
I know what's wrong with Sonu Nigam's not being so visible. He's busy with other commitments like reality TV shows and stuff. But also film composers don't especially Preetham does not have a good equation with him, and because
he's an
obviously well, that and Arijit Singh basically lives in the studio, right? So
he's hiding under the table, mujhe do.
Sab gaane main gaunga.
Yeah.
On my end, I mean, I'm not as musically versed as everybody else is, so the names I kind of miss and would like to hear more of. Obviously, SP Bala. My love for SP Bala is well known. We've talked about him lots of times. Unfortunately, he's also passed away. I loved his voice. I loved Hariharan. Loved his voice a lot. And from the contemporary, I really, really, really like Shilpa Rao's voice. I feel she's not getting enough due at the moment. She's doing a lot of work also on her YouTube channel that I listen to a lot. She did an amazing version of, what was that? Ghungru Toot Gaye, where it's only her, and it's really, really cool. I'll try to actually add it in the show notes, because I feel if you haven't listened to it, it's really good. And she did a version of the Ludo song, which is also really good. And you know, I was making the joke earlier about INDOO Ki Jawani, but I miss my folks, Rahat Ali Khan, Nusrat, obviously, Ali Azmat, they made a remake of Sayoni, which is coming out, which is terrible. Makes me miss Ali Azmat.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, Arijit is great, but he does make me miss Atif too. I know this is a controversial opinion, but I like Atif Aslam. I like the person Atif Aslam is, and I like a lot of the songs that he brought into Bollywood, and I kind of miss that era of 7-8 years ago. There was something about Atif that I don't feel Arijit has, although Arijit is probably a more classically trained, talented singer. But I don't know, there was something about Atif's voice that I don't feel is captured. I think, Bollywood is missing out because of all of the tension that are happening, and Atif is out of the loop now. So those were the kind of names that I kind of came up with. Adnan Sami was great too. I think also he didn't get the career he could have had, unfortunately. Remember this album he composed with the Zeba, the movie he made?
Sargam, yeah.
How good was that album, man? He was a contender with A.R. Rahman at that time. That's how good he was, right?
Sargam got remade in India as Kabhi To Nazar Milao, and that was one of the biggest pop hits ever. And then it was followed by a T-series album called Tera Chehra, and that was an even bigger hit. He was doing 6 or 7 music videos from the same album with all the top actresses of Bollywood. He was that big, and unfortunately that couldn't be continued.
And I don't know why. I mean, probably like some kind of internal conflict that we don't know about. But even in Bajrangi Bhaijaan, where he sang that song recently, I really liked his version of
Bharto Choli.
Yeah, I really, really liked it. Probably also where it's placed so well in the movie. I mean, you know, Bajrangi is amazing. But yeah, so I agree with Irfan that I miss Adnan Sami too. I hope that covered your question, and you sent it a while ago, that email. So apologies again that I didn't get. Oh, he actually sent one more, and I cannot answer this question. I'm not sure Amrita can. I think only you can, Sujoy. I wanted to know if any of you guys have watched Madam X.
Yes.
Reason being, I love this movie so much. I wanted to hear your guys' opinion on it. Sujoy, I've not seen it.
I've seen Madam X, and I've also done a podcast episode with Beth about it. Back in the day.
So we're gonna link to that in the show notes.
I don't know if we have that episode live anymore, but I'll try.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's like bonkers fun.
Yeah, it's a Dawn remake with Rekha playing both parts.
Okay, I'm out. Amrita, have you seen Madam X?
Yes, I have.
What did you think?
I mean, it's Rekha and it's bananas. Like, obviously, I love it.
There's a lot of things that people find like amazing, which I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Fardeen kahan hai? Fardeen.
Give me Fardeen. How did I become like a Fardeen fanboy? I just said like he wasn't that bad. Like,
by the way, remembering of Fardeen, people pointed out from the No Entry episode, like they definitely wanted to nail me down with this. Rajat texted me on Instagram saying the film Fardeen Khan is watching in theatre with Selena is Govinda and Mahima Chaudhary's movie called Sandwich, which is also an Anis Bazmi film. And thank you for pointing that out, Rajat. And also Divana Shetty on Twitter pointed out the same thing, but he also added, here comes the best part. Sandwich was released in 2006 and No Entry came in 2005. So
amazing.
How did they travel back in time?
Yeah, and if they traveled back in time, this is what they use their powers for. Like, you can like go kill Hitler, go kill Trump. No, we want to put Sandwich in a movie that came out a year earlier. Waste of time.
Yeah.
But no, that's a really cool thing that people pointed out, and I would not have known if our listeners weren't as smart as they are. So thank you for that. Let's move on to stuff we've been watching. I think we'll have to go quicker because we've been talking so much. We could actually split this in 3 episodes now.
Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives.
I just want to point out, like, when I brought up the trailer for this, both Sujoy and Asim were like, I would never watch this. Ew. Ye humse nahi hoga. Sujoy, how many episodes did you watch?
I've finished the season.
What?
I'm not even joking.
Dhokebaz! Sujoy,
I watched 4 episodes.
Sujoy dhoka dega, not Sarfaraz.
It came out on Friday. I watched 4 episodes on Friday and 4 episodes last night. And then I watched Ghulam.
More time. Sujoy ke baad more time.
Like, time hai, wo to, that's not a question. The thing is, like, I have a friend, she watches all these reality TV shows, and I asked her, like, what's the problem? Why am I drawn to this? And she's like, it's like crack cocaine, you know? You start with a little bit of curiosity and start watching it, and by the end of it, you've got a, stan Twitter account about it. So, yeah.
So, I still haven't watched any episodes. I'm seeing a lot of it on Twitter, and, I'm like, ek baar commitment kar di wala banda. I've not watched it. Not that, like, I made any commitments, but I was like, I even said on the show I might watch 1 episode and see how it goes. I haven't done that yet, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, Amrita, how many have you watched? Tell me about the show. How is it?
I haven't actually watched anything because I've been sick. So I can't know because
Sujoy has watched all of it. You've not watched it.
Like, Amrita is the real dhokebaz here.
Yeah.
You guys wouldn't have any content this episode if I hadn't watched the show.
So Sujoy, then you report from the trenches, like, what?
So I'm not exactly familiar with the format of these Real Housewife shows. I've not watched a single one of them. This is my first entry to mock reality or whatever scripted reality show that is. And production value wise, Dharma is, putting all their money into bringing these people to holiday and spend time in Paris and Doha and all whatever. But for me, after the first show, it became somewhat like I'm like a peeping Tom and looking at these lives from a very curious anthropological perspective of how these people exist in this ecosystem. They literally have a bubble that is built by Karan Johar and the ilk. And it's like a glimpse into that world of how these people, they also have their insecurities, and it's kind of an extension of the Karan Johar Coffee with Karan living room, but with real people, I guess, of these Mahik Kapoor and Seema Khan and Neelam Kothari and who's the fourth one? Bhavna Pandey. So yeah. It's interesting. It's curious enough for me to keep watching, and every episode has a sort of a cameo from the industry, from Ravina to their husbands to Karan Johar himself, and obviously the big finale is the sort of the big boss battle of all of them. Gauri and Shahrukh have a party, and it ends there. And it kind of builds up to that, and I think it's a watchable show. It's not as cringeworthy as I would have expected, and it's a mine for memes. But I'm too bored and lazy to be able to go and hunt for these images or videos. But for those who are interested, that there is plenty of material in there, and I got to learn some new things. Like Mahip Kapoor, who is the wife of Sanjay Kapoor, she was in the Ila Arun video "Nigori Kaisi Jawani Hai." That was her claim to fame before. Like, she was dating Sanjay Kapoor back then, and Sanjay Kapoor would visit her on the sets of "Nigori Kaisi Jawani Hai." I'm also finding glee that people are discovering Neelam through this show. I'm like, what the hell are these people?
I already bullied Suchin. Suchin's a friend of the podcast, but I already shamed him and named him on Twitter for saying things like he was watching this thing and then suddenly he realized it's the same Neelam from the Neelam show from Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. And I was like get
what?
out.
It's like, oh my god, Neena Gupta is the same Neena Gupta from Choli Ke Piche. Oh my god.
Basically, we're surrounded by babies. That's what's happening. We shouldn't even be on Twitter anymore. We're too old. We should we should be in politics or something like that. This is a waste of, this is our fault.
But also,
we've grown out of it.
But also, a lot of people were making the point that of these people, of all the husbands and the wives, Neelam is actually the only person who had a bona fide Bollywood career. She was in a whole bunch of really successful movies in the 80s and the early 90s. She wasn't compared to the careers of I don't know, Sanjay Kapoor and, Chunky Pandey. Well, Chunky was actually a big star in the late 80s. The same era as Neelam. Chunky and Neelam had pretty good careers back in the late 80s, early 90s.
I think they did that movie, right? With Rajesh Khanna in Ghar Ka Chirag or something with the Tutak Tutak Tutiya song.
So Neelam is not a Bollywood wife. She's a proper actress with a proper career. Although who's hiring her today, I don't know. But
But what is the suggestion with a comment like that, though? That they should call it Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives, except Neelam, who was a successful actress in the 80s. That does not work. What do you want? I don't understand the point of this comment, because I have read it, and it's not I'm not saying anything about you, Amrita, but it's just what's the point of making that point? I don't get it.
Also, when we watched that trailer and we were complaining, how these women can afford the lifestyle that they do. These four women are bona fide entrepreneurs. They have their own businesses to feed them and, feed their lifestyle. well. And that was something that I wasn't expecting, and blame it on my ignorance because I don't follow Page 3 culture or Page 3 Instagram accounts where these people appear, on a daily basis. But
what are the businesses? Because I'm actually genuinely curious.
So
about
Ananya Pandey's mom, Bhavna Pandey, she runs a garment store and like a retail chain. A retail chain. Kapda ki dukaan. Sab baar jata hai. Seema Khan and Mahi are both Seema Khan is a fashion designer. She's got her clothing line. Seema Khan is like a label, and I think Bhavna is not Bhavna. Mahi has a jewelry chain or something, and Neelam is a jewelry designer.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think Neelam comes from she's one of those Gujarati diamond trader people.
Yeah.
I think her family's in that business from before.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to Amrita, your thoughts. If you get to watch it, I would love to hear.
Yeah, I will. That's
what you say. I still have not seen it. If you do watch it, I'll watch maybe one episode to kind of join in. But
one of the episodes, there's Ravina's cameo, and she and Neelam have a catch up on their heydays of making movies in the 80s and the 90s, and they made a movie called Parampara together back in the day, and they kind of make fun of Saif's entry, and it's very similar to our Rani when Ravina tries to mock Saif, and her line is "Pratap has landed." And it is hilarious, man. You should watch the show just for that.
Actually, Sujoy, if I watch one episode, should I just watch the Shah Rukh one, or which would you recommend?
I think, the Shah Rukh episode is the best because Shah Rukh makes everything better, man.
Yeah, that's probably.
He's just trying to bring the room together, telling everybody's individual story and how it connects to him, and it just it brought Neelam to tears. It's amazing, yeah.
Okay, I'm watching the Shah Rukh one for sure.
Yeah, it's the last one. It's the last one.
Commitment kar di, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna watch it. Okay. Cool. Let's do quickly what else we've been watching this week. Last time I spoke about watching a Hrishikesh Mukherjee movie. Quickly.
While we were having a chat with somebody who had written an actual book about Hrishikesh Mukherjee, by the way.
Exactly. A lot of people asked me on Twitter, which movie did you watch? And I'll tell you guys, I actively stopped talking about it because Jay was on the podcast. Because
thank God.
अच्छा नहीं लगता कि किसी को घर पे बुलाओ और फिर बेइज्जती करो. It's not nice. I'm not that uncivilized person, and the reason was I've never connected with Jaane Bhi Do Yaro as a movie, and he's written a whole book about it. And Hrishikesh Mukherjee movies, I'd never seen one, and I'd watched 20 minutes of it, and I watched Chupke, and I didn't feel there was no point in me talking about it because I've not watched the whole movie, so my opinions are gonna be stupid. There was no point. So that's why I didn't mention it, but I did manage to finish the movie. And actually, Amrita, this was a recommendation of yours. You recommended ages ago that I watch this movie, and I think another one was Chalti Ka Naam Gaadi that you just offhandedly mentioned. And when Amrita mentions something, I do kind of internalize it and memorize it and make it the 10 commandments. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
सुजॉय ने 5 मिनट पहले क्या बोला था मैं भूल गया अभी से. अमृता की 6 months पुरानी now. This is probably 2 years ago. So yeah, I watched Chupke quickly, and so I'll quickly go over it. Have you both watched this movie?
Yeah. Everybody's watched this movie. Asim.
We are desi. We are not burger.
Yeah. So I added this to my list because you recommended it, but also because Amitabh is very much part of the poster of this movie.
I'm sorry about that.
And this movie was totally missold to me. And I did not understand this. This was not an Amitabh movie whatsoever. So warning everybody that if you're looking for an Amitabh movie, this is not it. Like, Amitabh is there for 2 scenes and that's it. And it's really funny because this movie also came out the same year Sholay came out, which is also kind of a funny thing because in a way, Dharmendra is also the lead actor of Sholay and it's not Amitabh, although Amitabh has taken over Sholay to a certain degree. This is kind of like a comedy of errors kind of thing. And I was watching and I was just thinking, in the 70s, people were just bored as they're doing these elaborate pranks on their jijajis and their mamijis. And I was like, wow, guys, I'm so glad we have the internet that we don't have to do this thing. Yeah. But and the other thing is also this movie, and I don't know, Amrita, I'm going to ask you, are all Hrishikesh Mukherjee like that? That is basically like a theatre play that's been shot.
Yeah.
Because it's you have these segments with these 3 actors, then they go away, and then there's about these 2 actors, and there's no cinematic flourish, there's no great camera angles, the camera is super static, and they're basically just talking, right? This is what all of these movies are?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So again, I didn't know that, which was interesting, which I'm not saying anything negative or anything, I just didn't know. So it was interesting to see.
It's fine. You're only going to be shitting on something that everybody in India loves. But sure, go ahead. Tell us how much you hate it.
Yeah, no, it's just comedy is so, it's so contextual, right? You need to have been there at that time. So there's a lot of wife jokes and fat jokes and a lot of these Aadhi Gharwali, Mera Patta Kat Gaya comes in 2 times, these kind of things. And I'm yeah, this doesn't work for me. And so there's also this whole sequence where they leave a kid in a car and go up to sing a song, and the kid wanted some ice cream and they didn't even bring him ice cream. And the poor kid is licking the window. And I'm what's going on? Poor bacha, right? Oh. So yeah, these were my thoughts on Chupke Chupke. This is all I have. I don't know, but I do think there was a point when when I figured all of these things out, that this is the kind of movie making it is. This is the kind of era we're in. Where I have to say, everybody looks really pretty. The way the dressing and the set design, it looks really cool. But and then I get into it. It's when you forced to go to your uncle's party with your parents. Mm-hmm. And you're not looking forward to it. And the first 30 minutes is kahan phas gaya main? And then the 2-3 hours in, you're that uncle is kind of funny. And you start laughing with it. That's what my experience with Chupke Chupke was. It's I ended up laughing after a while. It's like an uncle party. Basically, that's what it was.
I mean, at least you get good songs out of it, right?
Which good songs? What are you talking about? There's no good songs in this.
Oh man.
No, I didn't like any songs.
What? Aapke Sajan Sawan mein? No?
No. Which one is that? Is that the one where they leave the kid behind?
No. It's the one in the living room where Dharmendra is behind the curtain and Sharmila.
Oh yeah. That was a nice song. I was just watching it. I was man, उस ज़माने में acting कैसी होती थी? You have to sit on the couch and make all of these expressions. When there's I don't know why, and this might be my search history, I don't know, but on Instagram you have that explore tab, right? Uh-huh. And I see a lot of girls dancing in front of the camera. You know what I mean? TikTok-ish kind of.
You're outing yourself, Asim.
No, it's fine, but I get it. If I'm following Katrina Kaif and Nura Fatehi, this is what I'm going to get. This is the content I get, and I get sneakers. That's the only reason I am on Instagram. And by the way, sorry guys, all the people that are following Khandaan Podcast on Instagram and then try to follow me, I'm not following anybody back. I'm not effective on Instagram whatsoever. So follow me on Twitter. That's the better place. So just because I got a lot of requests and I'm not accepting any of them, unfortunately. If I need to say anything on Insta, it's going to be on the Khandaan podcast. So follow that. But yeah, so I see a lot of these girls dancing, and I'm sorry, I was supposed to keep this short about it, but now I'm like 20 minutes in.
When has that happened, Asim?
Exactly. And I don't know what, like, I just feel like these girls are really bored and they're like dancing and jumping and flicking their hair in front of the camera, and there's like no song. Like there's like just their dad downstairs and mom eating dal and they're in the upstairs bedroom dancing like idiots with, you know, with their hair and flicking and stuff. And it's an age thing, but that's what Chupke Chupke made me, that song that you're mentioning was like, Sharmila Tagore is making all of these like fluttery eyes and oh my god, Dharminder is behind the curtain and he's listening to my song and everybody is like, wah kya gaati hai, wah kya acting kar rahi hai, wah kya tiger hai, you know. So that's where my mind was.
Like never change.
Thank you. So yeah, let me know which other old ass movie I should watch next time, and I'll give you this kind of reviews. This is the kind of content you get.
I was telling you, you know, like if you now that you've taken your steps into Hrishikesh Mukherjee movies and you want to see an Amitabh Bachchan Hrishikesh Mukherjee movie, then you should watch Millie, and that also has a father-daughter story that I think is very affecting.
Okay. It's not one where Amitabh becomes like an asshole because his wife becomes successful, right?
No,
that's not that one?
That's Abhiman.
Yeah, that's different.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to watch that. Okay. Sujoy, what did you watch? Because I also watched it.
Yeah. Soorarai Pottru is what we watched.
Letting you pronounce it. That's why I'm doing it.
How is my Tamil, Amrita?
It's probably better than mine.
Yeah, I love the confidence though. I love the confidence.
You just like bust through it.
So it's directed by Sudha Kongara, I think I'm correctly pronouncing her name, who also made Sala Kharus a couple of years back with Maddie, and it stars.
I watched that.
Yeah, I loved that movie.
She also directed that Jairam Urvashi short that we love the best out of.
Yes,
that makes sense. Yeah. And this one's got Urvashi, Soorarai Pottru as.
Yeah.
And it stars Surya as. It's inspired by the story of G.R. Gopinath, who was the creator and the entrepreneur who made Air Deccan, and it's about that story of how a simple small town guy has this big dream of making a low cost airline and the obstacles that he has to go through and kind of the success story of that. And it really tells that in from a very masala lens, and it sort of, you know, taps into those emotional strings and it pulls them correctly, and I totally enjoyed it.
I watched it too. I was getting a lot of there was a lot of positive buzz about this movie on the Twitter, and I think it's I really enjoyed it. I have to say I really enjoyed this movie, which I cannot pronounce, but it's like really well made genre movie, and I can really appreciate that. Like, you know, it's like you know, it's like Guru with planes, you know, it's like that, you know, like, it's Hudsucker Proxy, it's, a man making millions, you know, like there's so many, it's like a genre, right? Even in America, there's a lot of
the whole startup movie, basically, right?
Yeah. Or even there was the one with Michael Keaton about McDonald's, the founder, not too long ago. Yeah. So it's a genre basically. Aviator. I would even put Aviator in this, you know. Leonardo DiCaprio's Martin Scorsese movie, you know. So, but it's a really well-made one with it kind of like the Indian sensibility. I mean, there's obviously some cultural clashes that I was like, wow, this is really weird. Especially, I also don't like this template of, I'm so passionate, I'm going to be an asshole to my wife. Like, and it happens a few times in this movie where he's like, I think he even slaps her and he's like hitting her and being quite violent, which it's just like it sours the movie for me a little bit, which I don't like. But I don't think that's needed. Like, it's inspired from a real story. I don't see that, you know, I'm sure the guy wasn't doing that, the original guy, but why need to add this masala kind of thing. It's just like a cinematic convention, I feel, and I didn't appreciate it, especially because the wife character was a very strong-minded, amazing performance and an amazing character that they created.
Yeah.
So then having her slap around, it just didn't sit well with me. But I think Surya is so good. And he's so handsome. Like, he's such a handsome man.
Yeah.
Like, and this is one of those things I like.
I have this question for both of you, right? And I put it on Twitter and Instagram, and people didn't react to it positively, but I saw it. Like, in one of the scenes where he is like, he's decided that he's going to make this airline, right? He's had this sort of eureka moment that's what his life's purpose is going to be. And he is driving or riding that bike in high speed, trying to, ride his bike parallel to the flight taking off. And he's got his aviators on and he's riding his bike and he's got his bearded look. In that flashy of a moment, he kind of looked like Jagu Dada to me, a young version of Jackie Shroff. And that kind of clicked with me. Like, yes, like the 80s young Jackie Shroff was a big thing. And he kind of emulated that image for me because I kind of grew up with that image of the hero, right? And that's what I saw. And I asked people, like, if they see any resemblance of Jackie Shroff in Surya. And people were like, no, Surya is bigger and Surya is better and all of that. But what do you guys think?
Guys, people don't know who Neelam is, man. You're asking about Jagu Dada, like, what are you doing here? You're asking for trouble, man.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Miranda Surya? Have you seen many of his movies?
I mean, I don't think I've seen anything that he's done of late. I think, I don't know if he's made much movies, like, over the past few years. Has he?
I don't know.
He seems active on IMDb. There's been, like, I'm seeing stuff.
Because I haven't, there's been nothing that people have recommended to me. Like, like most Malayalam or Telugu or Tamil movies that I watch are on the basis of recommendations, like people will start talking about stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go check it out. Like, that's how I do it.
I think the last movie I checked out or like watched of his was back in 2016, a science fiction movie called 24. Have you seen that? It's about time travel. It's really fun.
Like, I really enjoy Surya. Like, it's I wouldn't say like I'm his biggest fan or anything, but I really like him. So I'm really glad to see something fun, especially this year. There's like so few things that have come out that are actually fun and good. So I'm just very happy to just see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going through his IMDb and I feel I've seen a lot of his movies, more than I expected. So I like him. Like, I've seen also like the original Gajni he did. And a few movies that people have recommended that I have not seen yet, which I kind of keep looking for if they're available on streaming. He did this Kung Fu movie, like Seven, I don't know how to pronounce it, 7 AUM Arivu. And Matran, I remember my friend, the Filmy Girl, also recommended that one. And I've not found them on streaming, so I'm kind of looking for... I also watched Anjan, which wasn't great, but he's always good in even bad movies. And I don't know what the equation is in the kind of, the region he's making movies in, but I don't feel he's getting good work, maybe? I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, he should be a bigger star, right? Like, he doesn't seem to be. I don't know. Maybe I just don't know enough about it. But the things I've seen him on, I've always felt he's been good at.
Yeah.
And he was the main reason why I watched it. If it was some other actor that I didn't know, I would just listen to the praise and move on. But this, I watched and I really appreciated it. And I also appreciated that he, in the movie, like... there's always the idea that this man is, facing challenges. But the number of challenges Surya faces, it's like non-stop. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. And it is a long movie, but it's so engrossing because he just does not let go. And it's quite good. It's really good genre filmmaking.
It also taps into the sort of off-screen image that Paresh Rawal has now, and it sort of builds off of that. Paresh Rawal is just a scenery-chewing villain in this movie, and it's a delicious watch just to experience that.
Yeah, he's playing real life Paresh. Although the dubbing, why dub? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like also dub with a voice that's so unfamiliar to Paresh Rawal, right? Like I just there's a few of these things that I still have trouble.
Yeah,
with.
we will talk about that more when we get to Ghulam.
Yes. When we eventually get to Ghulam. Yeah, I also watch one more thing and then we have to move on. Freaka podcast and we're doing way too much. I also finally watched KHALI PEELI. It happened, guys. Wow. I watched the Naya Panda movie.
Oh, Bhavna Pandey will be so happy for you.
Yeah, are you guys excited to hear what I liked, what I thought about this?
Well, you did tell me a bit, but tell us more.
I've been talking about this for ages, right? Like, I want to watch this movie. I enjoyed this movie. I really liked it. I really liked it.
Hrishikesh Mukherjee with Dharmendra and Amitabh and Chalamla to go, but Naya Panda.
Yeah, exactly. Could anything be more Asim than this, right?
Asim, how do you justify this?
Yeah, guys, it's like a Bollywood movie, like Daud. If you like Daud, you will like KHALI PEELI.
You made the Netflix algorithm easier.
I mean, I don't know, like Jungle, those kind of movies that were like two people on a run and they're getting chased by gangsters and there's a lot of back flash forwards and there's a lot of Guy Ritchie kind of cuts, very hard cuts and flashbacks, and this happened 20 minutes earlier and that happened 50 minutes earlier, this happened 3 years earlier, and it kind of keeps the momentum of the movie going, and I thought that was really, really cool. There's pretty cool action. And I didn't expect what's his name now, the actor?
Ishan Khattar.
Yeah, to pull this off, and I think he does it. He does it much better than his brother does it. So, which is really cool. And also Jaideep Alawat, man, he's such a good actor. For a typical villain role, and we just saw him in Patalok where he got to stretch out a bit of his acting muscle a bit more, but he is so good in this, and he was also doing something similar in again, you're gonna hate me for
Commando?
doing this, but Commando. Exactly.
I knew it, Asim.
You knew it, right?
I know you.
Yeah, he was doing something similar in Commando, and that's why Commando is such a good, those kind of movies is the best one, because you have a good villain, and you need a good villain to be able to survive this. And again, this is going to bring us to Ghulam a bit later. Yeah. There's also this aspect of size, a difference in size between a Chota Kodu type hero and then a larger physically imposing villain, which makes the fight dynamic very interesting. And KHALI PEELI also understands that. Beside the songs are good, not the Beyonce Sharma Jayegi, which is bad, but
Tehes
Nehes is so good. It's placed really well. And by the way, I want to ask you, what is Kunkun Ki Machli? What is Kunkun
Ki Machli?
What does that mean?
It's a type of a fish.
You eat it, or is it like a goldfish? What is it? You look at it or you eat it?
I think you eat it.
Okay. I thought maybe it's like a goldfish that you just look at it, and because that's what Nana Panda is she's like a goldfish. She's a terrible actress, guys. She is so bad. I want to be gracious, but I've not seen this bad an actress in my life. I don't know. I'm thinking who is as bad as Ananya Pandey. Early Katrina Kaif is better than Ananya Pandey. She's the worst. And she's wearing Schrödinger shorts, where they look too small and too big at the same size. I don't know what's going on. The styling is really bad. It's Amrita, you have to watch the show. She's wearing these jean shorts. And you see them in Tehes Nehes. because they look very short, but they also look very big. Like, I don't know how they managed to pull it off. And again, I don't want to body shame anybody, so I just want to talk about the shorts. But she's really bad. And like, you see, she put a lot of effort into her diction because they all speaking this Mumbaiya kind of accent. But there's a little girl who's playing like Ananya Pandey when she was 8, and she's pulling it off better than Ananya Pandey as a grown-up.
So I did my research, guys, about Konkan Ki. It's Konkan Ki Machli, which is in the song sort of sung as Konkan Ki Machli. It's Konkan basically where the region of Goa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you eat that fish?
Yes, because fish is
it's just
delicious.
a metaphor. Like, like she's from that area. That's what they say. That she's like, she's like from that area.
The lyrics is Machle hai jaise Konkan ki machli. So like, when a fish dances when it's being caught out of water, I guess.
But she's really bad, guys. Have you seen any of her movies?
So
like, this was a surprise. I've never seen her. I'd never seen her.
No.
So, in Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives, because I can quote that show now, because Ananya Pandey won the Filmfare Debutante Award. Chunky Pandey was holding the trophy in his living room and got really emotional and going back to his days, like how he was nominated for Tezab, and he sort of got up off his seat because he thought in himself that he was definitely going to win the supporting actor, but Anupam Kher won for Vijay. So he walked up to the stage, and when the name was announced and he knew it wasn't his, he went to the toilet and never came back.
Aww.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry to bring that story again, but what were we talking about? Ananya Pandey.
Have any of you guys Ananya Pandey's movies? That's what I was.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Pati Patni or Wo?
Yes, I have seen that. I've seen that movie.
So you've known her and you didn't warn me.
I've seen Student of the Year too as well.
You saw it twice and you didn't warn me twice.
But I thought like she was the best part of Student of the Year too.
Oh my god!
Wow.
But that also says like how terrible were the remaining people.
Oh God. So she still is. Oh my God. She's in the next Shakun Batra movie, man, with Deepika and Siddhant Chaturvedi. Bloody hell, I'm gonna end up watching more movies of her. God damn it.
The Karan Johar machine keeps working.
Oh God, and she's also with the new movie with Puri Jagannath with Vijay Deverakonda, which I'll probably end up watching too because it's called The Fighter. Oh, I hate myself. Okay, guys, I think we're done. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Guys, let's wrap this episode up. Amrita, where can people find you?
You can find me
on the internet.
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ or on my YouTube channel at Amrita by the Book.
Guys, I have to say, by the way, on one of her recent videos, Amrita says the line, "Cash in my cooch." And I laughed so hard that I was gonna wake up my family members. I just want to say, like, Amrita thinks nobody's watching and, like, laughing at me about my jokes, but this is what's happening on her literate, erudite channel over there. I'm just saying.
That was a good video, by the way.
That was a good one. I love that. I was a really good one.
I had a lot of fun making that video.
What's the title of that one?
I think it's called On Beauty, like a small rant on writing women.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll add it to the show notes. Sujoy, man, where can people find you online?
People can find me online on Twitter at @93k and also on my Instagram at 93k. And we have Khandaan Podcast on Instagram as well at Khandaan Podcast.
Yeah, and let us know what you want us to do on the Khandaan Instagram page. We got some really good suggestions from our friend Alyssa. So we'll be doing more, but if you want like an Insta chat or an Insta live, we can maybe get that going. By the way, guys, I realize also there's a lot of people listening to us. So if your father has like a business and they want to sponsor Khandaan, drop us an email.
Bring all the Kukreja pressure cookers. We are very happy to feature them.
Lala Mal Lote Wala, Kukreja Quitter, anything goes, Bajaj Ke Ande, anything. Just let us know at youpodcasting@gmail.com. And thanks for listening. Next episode will be our full review of GHULAM.
Khandaan podcast on the acting. Girl, you're my